Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet and that's how it works now. I'm Noah, and I'm going to be leading this effort to distract everyone from the fact that Eli's not here, and aiding me in that effort are three men who have airtight alibis for the evening of July 26th, Heath, Tom, and Cecil.
Thank you. Fuck yurt is my airtight alibi. I was in a fuck yurt.
I saw him in the fuck yurt.
I'm going to start live streaming my life preemptively at this point, just to
Sure.
yeah.
I really would love it if once in a lifetime things stop happening 4 times per week. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Speaking of which, writing sketches way harder than Eli makes it look, and we just need extra help on that front right now. So this is a great time to remind you how awesome our patrons are.
I didn't even write that one.
If you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about the Conch Rebellion.
All right. So, Tom, you took time off of being fucked by the news long enough to read an essay about this. Are you ready to tell us what it said?
I sure as hell am, Noah.
All right. So what was the Conch Rebellion?
Oh, let me hop in. I'm going to give Tom a break here. So,
okay.
As I sit on my Adirondack chair of tristesse that I own
Okay.
and stare out on the
Adirondacks are
post-apocalyptic wasteland of human society, now utterly bereft of any semblance of virtue whatsoever, and a ball of tumbleweed rolls by. I think about what we once had, and a single tear slowly rolls down my cheek. Speaking of which, the Conch Rebellion is a thing that happened also.
Tom, you're like halfway to a Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You're not a full Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You're like
I got to gargle with more ham, and then I'd be right there, I think.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah.
All right, it was good. I'm not gonna lie, it's good, not great.
So, Tom, same question. Yeah.
I'll start as we near the end. As we near what feels.
Really boxed him in there.
I'm not sure.
I love it.
Pivot. As we near what feels like the collapse of our democracy and the pending civil war, which will follow, it feels like now would be a good time.
Ow, I got a splinter on my Adirondack chair of tristesse.
Uncomfortable. I would never sit in an Adirondack chair.
God.
Got a sand.
All the new listeners just shut this thing off.
New listeners.
I guess that's pretty optimistic. Go ahead,
It
Tom.
does feel like now might be a good time to pause and reflect while there's still a somewhat functioning United States of America. And what better way to reflect on the collapse of our fragile social collective than to dream of the possibility of leaving? For some of us, we've asked around and no one will take us in. Perhaps that is why some of us, me, dream about taking the best parts of this country and just fucking leaving, of going out for milk and never coming back, of seceding in order to succeed.
Okay, so are we all picturing a Bugs Bunny with a saw type scenario? Because I'm in.
I was.
We haven't tried that yet.
It might work. Have you been to Key West? You'll likely have noticed the signs at the airport welcome you to the micronation of the Conch Republic. That is to say, if you flew in, which most people don't. In fact, almost all people who enter or leave Key West do so by driving in across U.S. Route 1. That is because Route 1 is quite literally the only route in and out of town. And since Key West pretty much exists entirely off of tourism, being able to get large numbers of people in and out of town, that's a pretty big deal. So, when the U.S. Border Patrol, with no prior notice to anyone, set up a roadblock across from Skeeter's Last Chance Saloon, Well, they created themselves a big fucking problem.
God, Skeeter's last chance saloon. Key West sounds like it's littered with places called Drippy Dick's Ball Shack, you know?
I'm sorry, do you mean it sounds like it's in Florida? Yeah, because yes, it is.
And it is, yeah.
It is.
It's the tip, the unprotected tip of Florida.
It's
the
drip,
sigma of our nation, really. It's the...
Yes, exactly.
You see, 2 years prior to this roadblock, an international crisis was caused when Cuban refugees emigrated en masse, with around 125,000 arriving in Florida in just 6 months. This event, known as the Mariel Boat Lift, ended in October of 1980, but Cuban immigrants continued to arrive in Florida. And the U.S. Border Patrol used that event as their excuse to set up this roadblock on Route 1. What they were mostly doing was looking for drugs and illegal immigrants, but what they were also mostly doing was strangling the ever-loving shit out of Key West. Anyone attempting to cross the roadblock had to show proof of citizenship and allow their vehicle to be searched. Except Route 1 was not an international crossing. This was just a domestic American road that, if you happened to be on, suddenly was being treated as if it were a border crossing.
Okay, obviously the people getting stopped forgot to mention the inalienable right of three-dimensional locomotion enshrined in the secret part of the Constitution. Fucking idiots. You just say that and they have to let you go. The law. Secret law.
The Border Patrol is the largest police force in the United States. Do you commies want us to have the biggest thing and not fucking use it? What is wrong with you people?
Now, very predictably, people traveling about within the borders of their own country did not often carry their papers around with them just in case authoritarian fascists wanted to hassle them. And so this non-border border crossing roadblock was a complete clusterfuck. Delays on Route 1 would back up, sometimes paralyzing traffic for as many as 19 miles and causing delays that lasted for hours.
Yeah, Orlando's like, y'all need the Border Patrol for that? Shit. Sissies.
Tourists seeking to enjoy perhaps a pina colada, an adulterous affair, and getting caught in the rain turned their attentions to more accessible points on the map. Key West began to hemorrhage money.
Just another example of illegal immigrants ruining the American economy.
Okay, also, people who want pina coladas deserve whatever they get that's bad. Gross. I'm going to take out a blender now and make you get the fuck out of the bar.
Heath, everything you drink tastes like it was stirred with a bonfire log. Come on.
It does. It's delightful. And you just pour it from a bottle into a fucking glass and you're done.
The bartender here advocating for the loss of his own job.
It's not the taste, it's the work for Heath. He's like, no, fuck you.
You got a prep pina colada mix. You need like Coco Lopez in a can. It's fucking weird. Batching these gallons of this gross
What am I getting
slime.
paid for this work? Wait.
Get out of here. Order a grown-up drink.
I should be clear here. Route 1 and the Keys were very certainly being used to smuggle refugees and drugs. Nobody disputes that. But the Borders Patrol job, it's to really patrol the borders. And Route 1 was not a border. The mayor of Key West, Dennis Wardlow, didn't really give two shits about whether Cubans and cocaine were making their way up Route 1. His job was to get tourists back into Key West, getting their sunburns, puking in the ocean, and emptying their wallets. Wardlow contacted the local county sheriff, the state representative, and even the governor to find out who ordered the roadblock. No one knew, and no one had the authority to close it.
Okay, clearly the deep state. Gotcha.
True. That's it. That was it. Finally, the mayor contacted the captain of the Border Patrol directly, and he was told that the illegal domestic roadblock being manned by border control agents outside of any border was, quote, none of his business, end quote. Well, this did not sit well with Wardlow, who replied, don't tell a conch it's none of your business. Conch is, they call themselves conchs. A conch is what residents of the Keys call themselves. And even though the Keys
Fantastic.
are known for being laid back and quirky, it turns out they can also be feisty and quirky. Wardlow consulted with local business leaders and tourism boosters. And by the end of the evening's conversations, they were mulling over what to do about the, quote, attack on Key West's sovereignty, end quote.
Nice.
And if you, like me, are wondering...
Conquer.
That really is the key to it. And if you like me... If you, like me, are wondering just how sovereign Key West could possibly get, well, you're about to find out.
All right. Well, it looks like the Border Patrol has pushed Florida man too far. So we're going to take a quick break while he squeezes into a phone booth for a little apropos of nothing.
All right, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to need a flag.
What? Why do we need a flag?
No one does what we're about to do without a flag, Larry. It just isn't done.
Frank, right. I know you're a huge vexillology nerd, but we don't always need a flag.
This is too important for us not to have one. You are going to need
You made us a flag when we started our boating club.
Yeah, so 3 pale boats rampant, that's...
Yeah, okay, you made us a flag when we started that geocaching group.
An Earth proper surmounted by Crosshair Sable. Right.
And now this one.
Look, it's totally called for. It's Azure, a conch shell proper, radiating 13 rays. What?
It's just, your flags are a little bland, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we should add, like, behind the shell, like a shaker assault.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett reference. Love it.
Yeah.
What about like a cheeseburger there with like a palm tree too? Something like that?
There you go.
Absolutely not. We will not create some kind of whorish brunch Bloody Mary with everything known to man sticking out the top of it.
Okay, all right.
Love those.
Jesus, calm down. We'll do your shell flag.
Azure, a conch.
We heard you, man. Yeah, got it.
You know that shell position like that, it kind of looks like
Don't step on my joke in the second half.
Okay, all right, sorry.
I'm Heath at the end.
Yeah, we're back. When we last left off, the feds were poking at a people known for fighting alligators to get their cell phones back while naked on meth. So, how did that work out for them, Tom?
Judgy, whatever.
Well, the Mayor Wardlow, a local attorney that they managed to rouse from his hammock before noon, and pilot David Paul Horn flew themselves off to Miami to seek an injunction from a federal judge. The judge denied them that injunction, likely imagining that the small-town mayor would limp his way back home. Instead, gathering reporters around him on the courthouse steps, Wardlow announced, quote, "Tomorrow at noon, the Florida Keys will secede from the Union," end quote. And just to prove they weren't fucking around, according to some guy who managed to squeeze out a book about a pamphlet-sized event, quote, "The first act of rebellion occurred before they had even returned to Key West. Horan, a seasoned pilot, buzzed the roadblock on their flight back into the city."
That's it? He buzzed it? That doesn't feel very helpful. They're flying along, and he was like, "Okay, I got this. These cops, they're gonna be at the roadblock, and I'm gonna buzz them. They're gonna scurry away like ants when you spit on their hill. It's gonna be awesome." Are they scurrying? Did they scurry? No. All right, let's do a real thing. We'll do a real thing.
Dude, when they flew by, did you pinch your fingers and say you were squishing their head? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I was squishing their heads, though. What?
Once back within the borders of their newly conceived micronation, Wardlow anointed around 30 of his closest friends and associates with new cabinet appointments in their burgeoning government, including appointing a secretary of underwater affairs and a minister of nutrition.
Okay, that was actually code for killing Castro with a poison conch. Two different positions in Florida. Okay.
He further declared that as executive of his new nation, he would, of course, insist on negotiating only with then President Ronald Reagan, or, absent Reagan's involvement, Vice President Bush.
Bush is like, "Yeah, no, you meet me by this grassy knoll over here. I have a great spot picked out."
Now, at noon the next day, as promised, Wardlow and his cadre of fresh ministers and secretaries gathered before reporters, flabbergasted federal agents, and throngs of supporters at Clinton Square, and there they announced that they had officially seceded. The American flag was lowered from the flagpole, and a new flag, the flag of the Conch Republic, which they managed to create and whip up literally overnight, proudly waved overhead.
Dude, okay, like, thanks for making the flag, but it looks like a vagina flag. Like, I told you to face the open part of the shell away. It would clear. Like, no, I like it. But you look stupid now. You look stupid.
Wardlow then read aloud the Conch Republic Proclamation of Secession, which read, quote, "We serve notice to the government in Washington to remove the roadblock or get ready to put up a permanent border to a new and foreign land. We're not equal, we'll get out. It's as simple as that. Big trouble has started in much smaller places than this."
Fucking little China. Maybe you've heard
some residents of the Keys were so fired up by the cause they offered to enlist in, and in one instance, create and staff the new nation's Air Force. Some local nut job named Tony, who owned a biplane, offered to fly his plane over the roadblock and bomb the area with conch fritters. Word of the impending bombardment made its way to the admiral of the local naval fleet, who begged Wardlow not to mobilize his formidable appetizer-based Air Force.
Okay, I feel like you just let him do it, right? Just have some buckets down, try out the fritters.
Sure.
Throw some dipping sauce in the bottom of those buckets. This is perfect.
Sure, yeah, right.
This
Save
is
yourself a
awesome.
step. I'm picturing this exhausted Navy admiral going like, all right, so no, but you see how we have to shoot down planes before we see if the things they're dropping on us are dangerous, though, right? You do see that, right?
Load the Remoulade cannons!
One guy's like moving his head. He's like, fuck, was that a bloomin' onion? That was huge. Jesus.
Wardlow then promptly declared war on the United States. He made this declaration in the time-honored tradition of the nation of the Conch Republic by breaking a stale loaf of Cuban bread over the head of some Navy guy wearing his Navy uniform.
Nice.
Just so much planning to make that work logistically. Like, you're meeting a Navy guy. You got like the bread up your sleeve. It flies out like Jet Li with the sword when you get close enough.
Yeah.
You just run away, dive into the bushes.
Oh,
Got him.
Immediately, the very first skirmish between the United States of America and the Conch Republic began. Now, I do want to offer some military perspective here. In 1982, the United States had somewhere in the neighborhood of 60,000 nuclear weapons at its ready disposal. But
Okay,
the
how many
Conch Republic,
fritters?
the Conch Republic was undeterred, and they bravely pelted federal agents, Navy sailors, and Coast Guard personnel with bread and conch fritters.
That
Fantastic.
one guy always takes it too far. He's pouring croutons into the end of a shotgun. Larry, settle down. Calm down, man.
The violence lasted around 1 minute, after which Prime Minister Wardlow immediately surrendered to a nearby naval officer and then promptly demanded $1 billion in foreign aid as compensation for the siege and as war restitution.
Sure. Sure.
You may be shocked here to learn that Ronald Reagan did not write $1 billion check to the island nation of the Conch Republic.
Yeah, but self-conscious about the signature. I get it.
But all the fuss and media attention did lead to the removal of the roadblock on Route 1. So far, this is Conch Republic 1, America 0.
Okay, so no, I have not read ahead, but here's what I'm going to guess. The Reagan administration starts arming and training the guy who lost to Wardlow in the last mayoral race at this point.
Now you might imagine that the story of the Conch Republic would be over, but it actually gets kind of weirder from here and possibly much darker.
Oh my God, they did arm the opposition.
The media attention from this was great for tourism. And now that you could actually drive down to the Keys without getting hassled by the man, now was a good time to capitalize on recent events. Souvenir passports were issued by the Conch Republic Secretary General. For prices ranging from $100 to $1,200, you could buy a Conch Republic passport for either citizens or diplomats, which is funny, until you remember that everything in the world is fake and stupid and made up.
Okay. Also, apropos of nothing, check out patreon.com/Heathvania passports. Very reasonable prices.
Right?
They're
Yeah.
super fun.
Heathvania's flag has an actual vagina with an arrow pointing to the top and a motto that says "Never forget" right there underneath it.
What do you mean, top?
The Conch Republic's Secretary General decided to try to use his invented nation's passport to travel. And he did. Successfully.
Come
to
on.
at least 30 nations, including Russia.
All this is made
And
up.
What?
It's all
He
made
used
up.
his
Is that a
Conch
vagina
Republic.
on the front of the passport? That's cool. Sexy.
What's that arrow pointing to? I don't get it.
You have it upside down?
He also used his Conch Republic passport, which he had issued to himself, to re-enter the United States on 5 separate occasions.
Wow.
Hilarious, except that it is possible, though not confirmed, but possible, that 9/11 hijacker Mohammed Atta used a passport issued by the Conch Republic to enter the U.S. Now,
Oof.
when I say this is possible, what I mean is that according to the FBI, definitely someone named Mohammed Atta definitely did
Oh
do
my
that.
God.
Okay, but that's just how FBI people say Muslim guy as like a general term. There's like, okay, whatever.
Right, so, all right, I'm not saying we deserve the 9/11. I'm not going to go that far, but Jesus Christ.
Tom, you're saying it's possible, but not concrete, is what you're saying.
Inconclusive.
Come back to me. Come back to me. I'll be.
I get a third one later. We'll get.
I
one
have
later.
concubine. I just haven't
it's
figured out how to
figured out
word
easy.
that into the.
A peace between the U.S. and the Conch Republic has remained pretty stable overall, but no peace between powerful nations endures forever without moments of stress. In September of 1995, a local radio station broadcast plans by the U.S. Army's 478th Civil Affairs Battalion to conduct a mock assault on an island in the Keys, but the Army wasn't saying which island. Just that, if you see a bunch of Army stuff going on nearby, that's none of your beeswax. Now, this threat to the sovereign nation of the proud Conch Republic would not go unanswered.
Our bread shall rise again.
We have the proof that we can defeat them. A call went up around the nation of the Conch Republic to mobilize to defend their country against the impending invasion. President Clinton was officially notified of the Conch Republic's intention to oppose the invasion, and the Conch Republic Navy was called into action and put on high alert. What this meant in practice was that a handful of local fireboats and pleasure craft boated around a bit before ultimately settling on their battle strategy.
Men, commence naval maneuvers. Wait, what? Who brought the floaty bouncy thing? We're going to look stupid. Get out of here with that. I want to
bounce
bounce
back one of their torpedoes, Larry, and then we're going to look brilliant. All right? Think.
And
think.
then we all play with it after. No, it's cool.
Well,
it's
then we
cool, it's
play
cool.
with it.
All
Right.
all
No,
right.
yeah, obviously.
We're a country.
Obviously brought all the hell way down here.
And so it was that the Second Battle of the Conch Republic was waged. Fishing boats playing Jimmy Buffett and pot-bellied divorced dads in ugly speedboats attacked the U.S. Navy, pelting naval boats with stale Cuban bread and conch fritters, the traditional and powerful weapons of the proud Conch Republic armed forces. The Navy guys had no idea what the hell to do. Obviously,
Well, who would?
obviously this is a
What's
bad
a
look.
proportional response to conch fritters? I don't understand how we deal with this.
Crab cakes. Because they're from Maryland. All right. Anyway, obviously it would be a bad It would be a bad look to just shoot up a bunch of white guys in sea rays for throwing baguettes and fried shellfish at the naval boats, right? They can't do that. So the commander of the naval forces ordered his men to lay down their arms and he surrendered to the Conch Republic Navy.
Come on.
Wielding loaves and fishes.
Man, we need a strong Second Amendment to protect us from the government. Guys are fucking shattered right now. Shattered.
Men, don't throw any conch fritters until you see the whites of their eyes. Okay, actually, that's nothing. Just go home. Just go. Let's play on the bouncy thing. That's fun.
The U.S. ground forces playing invasion were no more successful. 200 locals stood in a line blocking the Army's advance. And again, unwilling to massacre civilians just so they could play war, the Army guys backed off. And the next day, the United States Army sent a letter apologizing and stating that the military exercises, quote, in no way meant to challenge or impugn the sovereignty of the Conch Republic.
No.
It took more than 40 years for the dude that ordered the My Lai massacre to apologize, guys. I thought that was probably worth a mention here too. This point in the program.
Later that same year, our incompetent government shut down, as it does from time to time, and this resulted in the closure of the Fort Jefferson at Dry Tortugas National Park, since the federal government doesn't keep national parks open during its failure shutdowns. The Keys were losing $30,000 a day in lost revenue, a situation which they considered an unacceptable economic threat to their proud nation.
Okay, but it seems like those parks would become part of their new nation that was very real, right? Like, okay, did they consider laminating the passports to make it totally official? What happened there?
So the Conch Republic called once again on its Air Force, which was just some guy who owned a plane, and they flew to Fort Jefferson. Once there, they located the park rangers and offered them a check to pay to keep the park open, since it only cost about $1,600 a day to run the park. Park rangers proved to be made of tougher stuff than the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy, and they repelled the Conch invaders, issuing them a citation for trespassing and sending them home, though charges would later be dropped.
Well, yeah, diplomatic immunity. Yeah.
Okay, that thing definitely turned into a conch fritter snowball fight for a second, and it makes me happy. Like, I'm certain that's what happened at a certain point.
The last success of the valiant Conch Republic military against the United States occurred in 2006. The U.S. has a policy that undocumented Cuban immigrants are allowed to stay if they make it to American soil. So it was that 15 Cuban refugees braved the seas and managed to make it to the abandoned 7 Mile Bridge. Border Patrol officials decided that that bridge wasn't base and it didn't count as American soil, and so the Cubans could be fairly deported. Conch Republic officials knew an opportunity when they heard one, and they dispatched a landing party to the 7 Mile Bridge. Once there, the landing party planted dozens of miniature Conch Republic flags up and down the bridge, declaring that, quote, since the federal government decided in its infinite wisdom that the old 7 Mile Bridge is not a territory of the United States, the Conch Republic is very interested.
Guys, we have to do the flag. It doesn't count as dibs unless we put at least 20 vagina flags on the bridge.
You would have thought one would do the trick. Yeah.
The U.S. government chose not to brave the withering fire of bread and fritters, and they ceded the bridge to the Conch Republic. Anderson, the prime minister of the Conch Republic and then mayor of Key West, declared that the bridge, now officially a part of the Conch Republic, quote, could be a model green community, end quote.
Really?
Since 2006, there have been no other skirmishes between the United States and the undefeated military might of the micronation of the Conch Republic.
Amazing.
So if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
We are a nation held together by the thinnest of threads.
Oh, God. It's so
Aren't
true.
we, though? And it
So
took
true.
reading this article to convince you that that's
I'm a little
interesting.
slow
So
on the
are you
uptake, yeah.
are you ready for the quiz?
I am indeed.
All right, I'll start us off here. What is the best bread-based weapon? A. Biscuitanas. No, it gets better. It gets better from there. B. An epita. Okay, sorry. That one's not good either. Wait, it gets better. C. Riedes.
Okay.
Or D. Nunchucks.
They're all good.
It's
They're
nunchucks.
also funny.
That's
It's obviously
nunchucks. Those are
the
great.
whole goddamn reason for it was for nunchucks.
so
Yes, thank
good.
you.
They're funny.
As I was writing that, I was like, Cecil would be so much fucking better because he knows more breads, he knows more weapons. I never felt so like insufficient.
Oh man. All right, Tom. What's the Conch Republic's motto? A. Key pluribus unum. B. B. Shellfish, not selfish. C. If at first you don't secede. Or D. Live, frit, or die.
Oh, it's live, frit, or die.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, Tom, got one for you too. Which of the following is the best claim to fame about the Florida Keys that Conch Republicans cling to so they can pretend to be part of history and culture? A. Ernest Hemingway lived there for a while, but he only stayed because he was literally too drunk to leave for about 10 straight years.
Whoa.
B. Hemingway had a polydactyl cat named Snow White with 6 toes, and now the house he lived in is occupied by about 60 polydactyl cats descended from Snow White.
That's too many
See?
cats.
Every April,
Noticing.
the Florida Keys has a big celebration about their fake independence, and the festivities include performances of Conch Republic, the musical. That's a real thing that exists. They perform it during their 10-day festival every April. So just like, imagine if Tom had been singing this whole time and dancing around to reenact all the action. It's that. They have that. Or D, key lime pie. It's okay. It's okay.
I love
fuck
key
you.
lime pie. That is,
Fuck you, it's okay.
I can't.
Okay, no,
It's,
It's
a
a
me-
show.
it's not even limes from key
I
limes.
quit
It's
the
the best
show.
fucking
They
pie.
good.
import their limes from like
Amazing.
It's the
Mexico.
best of the pies, and all pies are amazing, and that's the best
The
pie.
best.
No,
That's
I've never
insane.
felt closer to you.
You
I've
are
never
Hitler.
felt closer to you.
The best pie? That's
The show is over. I
insane.
quit the fucking show. I'm not doing the outro for
that's
you,
it.
Heath. Because I have to declare you the winner now. I'm not doing it. I fucking I'm on
Hey,
strike.
Heath, you're the winner.
Thank you. I bet Cecil could name
God
at least one
damn it.
pie that's
No, what? You and I are
key
going out
lime.
for key lime pie.
I think
right
a
now.
lot
Let's
of
go.
different
Fuck
pies
these
are better than
losers
key lime
behind
pie.
me.
So
I think
many
this. I
pies
think
are
there
better
is
than key
definitely
lime.
a schism in this
Delicious.
podcast right now.
There need only be one to
I'm not with
contradict.
you on the pina colada, but I am with you on the key lime pie.
Key
Heath.
lime pie is fucking outstanding.
It's all right.
Out-
It's fine.
No.
It's fine if there's nothing else
So
on the
you
menu.
haven't had a good enough key lime pie.
There's
That's
a
I'll
all.
have
million
some.
other things I would order over a key lime fucking
I had a
pie. Are
key
you
lime
kidding
pie
me?
Routinely at a
Just
good
only
steakhouse.
sex things, right? Like if
Get
it's like
outta here.
blowjob was
Come on.
on the fucking
Get outta here.
It's just like lime flavored Dannon yogurt. It's like Go-Gurt, and then there's a pie crust. It's green. Great.
You eat
Bad
at bad
shitty- it's
restaurants
not
and you're a
green.
bad person.
First of all, no good key lime
Woof.
pie is green.
Woof. Woof.
Just, you
Okay.
just never had good key lime
Okay,
pie.
we
so
gotta
I'm
take
gonna
this off
convince
the
you
air.
otherwise. Yeah, so, all right. Well, by the
Tom, you're
demands
next
of the
or whatever. I don't
fucking
know.
I am.
formula,
How could I be
yeah.
next? I just did an essay. You be next.
You go
I'm
again.
next. I'm next. Cecil's next.
You think
Essayist.
key lime
Cecil's
pie is
next.
the best pie. You go again.
God damn it!
All right,
I'm gonna write about the goddamn glorious history of the key lime pie.
Oh God.
there you go.
Okay,
God
Noah's
damn it.
next.
All right.
I'm
Well,
next.
I'm going to do pie. All right. Well, for Cecil, Heath, Tom, and usually Eli, I'm Noah. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, I'll be an expert on. No, I will not.
I will be.
We'll be back
I am
next
gonna be
week,
an
and by then,
expert.
Cecil will be an expert on something else.
Cecil, you're up
Between
next.
now and then,
Because you
can listen
know
to us
about pies.
talk ship, season liberally, or dad oldly or dearly, or movie god awfully. Check the show notes for links for our other shit. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check out the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Eli's favorite pie is Three Musketeers. He would have made it even worse.